My name is Greg Stevens. Glad to have you join us online for this live stream of interesting presentation that's going to be done by Jason Bathon with Jabbit IT LLC on the topic of cyber security. So if you have questions, feel free to contact Jason at the end of this event. This event is sponsored by Salvation Army, Salina Media Connection, and Jabbit IT LLC, with a grant partially funded and sponsored by Salina County. So we thank Salina County for the Digital Equity Grant. And we're going to be having 3 more presentations in the future. The next one's going to be on the topic of artificial intelligence. So without further ado, I want to introduce Jason. Jason with Jabbit IT PC.
Hello, my name is Jason Bathon. I own Jabbit LLC, and we started in 2017. But just a real quick overview of who I am. I joined the Navy straight out of high school in 1995. I served on board USS Deo, which is from 95 to 99. I joined the reserves straight out of the active duty and was in the reserves for 8 years. And in 2002, I was recalled to active duty, and we went over to Kuwait and then went to Iraq. So there's the ship I was on. So in 2003, we went to Iraq. We served on Iraqi freedom, global war on terrorism. Then came back and finished my bachelor's degree and got a master's degree as well. While I was in the Navy, I did have a top secret clearance, so security is a little bit of a background as well in the military. But for the most part, I was just an oil king, which is basically I do all of the refueling and replenishment of fuel oil, lube oil on board ship. In 2006, I started doing industrial sales. I did that all the way till 2019. I started Jabbit in 2017 while I was working for Copernic Catron, and then in 2019 we were downsized, and I was the lowest person on the totem pole for the regional sales managers, and had to start doing this full time because I didn't want to go find another job. So this is going really well on the side, so we decided to do Jabbit PC for a full-time job, and it's gone really well so far. In 2020 through 2023, and hopefully in 2024, we've been best of the best on Salina's Choice Awards, so we're doing pretty good. So what is cybersecurity, internet fraud, phone fraud? So any kind of fraud or deception that's based upon you using your computer, your phone, your tablet, any kind of device that's going to be electronically sending or receiving signals from another party. In this circumstance, phone fraud, or more generally telecommunications fraud, is use of telecommunication products or services with the intention of illegally acquiring money from a customer. What are the types of internet fraud, phone fraud that you guys have most frequently? This is kind of sort of a lower introductory level. When you get into like business security, that's a whole different ballgame. But for the general everyday residential customer, these are the kind of frauds that we see most frequently. Phishing, phone fraud, remote desktop control, clickbait, fake viruses detected / pop-ups, ransomware, social media hijacking, SMS cell, text messages. So the first one is phishing. Phishing is a cybercrime which you get an email or an alert on your phone that goes through something like this. This is a PayPal. It looks very legitimate. You get an email from Amazon, hey, you've got your package coming here in 5 days, it's $1,500. You get scared or nervous, you say, well, I didn't order anything. So you call the number or you click the link. In any case, you're gonna get on the phone with somebody, they're gonna be like, well, we're from Amazon, we can help you refund your money, just let us on your computer, and that's where the stuff starts. In this specific instance, there's a lot of things you can look at. Usually poor grammar is always one, bad security, website addresses is always one, misinformation just doesn't look fully legitimate, but phishing is probably the #1 issue with cybersecurity, people getting into the computers and money from customers. This is a spoofed URL. This is Amazon. See, there's 2 ends here instead of 1. It's always important to look at your URL addresses, which is what this is right here, and make sure that those are security, HTTPS secure, as well as it being secure, the correct address that you're trying to go to. It looks legitimate. What happens here is they actually, you do log into your account, and this is a pass-through, so they actually do take you to Amazon. You can put in your customer credentials and still get into your account, but actually you won't know the difference because they're monitoring every single thing that you do here because it's a pass-through account. But you look at it, it looks like your account, everything, but it's not. They're capturing every single little piece of information you send back and forth, your credit card information, everything. Phone scams, this is a big one right now. Whether it be people calling from the IRS, Social Security, police. We've had some incidents here recently where some of our customers have gotten phone calls like, hey, this is your nephew, this is your grandson, I'm in jail in Mexico, please send me $2,000. Stuff like that. No legitimate companies, whether it be Social Security, IRS, police, no legitimate companies are gonna ask you for gift cards, cryptocurrency, things like that. So that's things to really ping your alert that you might be on some kind of scam call. Technical support calls, that's always a big one right now. You get on with what you think is Microsoft, but it's not really Microsoft. It's usually a third party that's trying to scam you out of money. Fake charity appeals, family members in peril, lottery scams, bank frauds, all of these are typical kind of phone scams. Remote IT support. So this is the one we see probably the most frequently. You get a pop-up on your computer and it says, you've got viruses, call this number to get support. Click this link to get support. You're not actually calling Microsoft or Norton or McAfee, you're actually calling a support scammer, probably usually over in India. The biggest country we have for fraud are Russia, India, China. Those are the big three, and then some other countries as well. But they pretend to be, and they're usually pretty effective because now most call support centers are in India. So the fact that you're getting somebody that speaks with a little bit of an accent is not uncommon. So you just think, well, maybe this is the correct support line. They get on your computer, if you allow them to, they'll tell you to go to a website. When you go to the website, that allows them to get remote access. And when they do, they start installing the software and they pull up images and icons that make it look like you've got viruses on your computer. It looks very legitimate. They do a really good job these days, and it's a multi-billion-dollar industry. So that's what you're looking for is people that are trying to show that they are support people, but they're not really support people. This is when we get a lot. Warning, your computer's infected. Warning, you've got viruses. Click here. This is McAfee. This is Microsoft. This is Norton. And if you already have like a Norton account or you already have a Microsoft account or a McAfee account, it looks very legitimate. Like, oh, yeah, I have that. I bought that last year. So it looks legitimate. You call the number, you click on the link, and they get on the phone and they just kind of sort of just rob you blind. Ransomware is another attack. This is probably the most deadly one and the one that's most used for corrupting businesses and cities and governments and officials. They basically take over your computer once they get access to your computer, and they BitLocker encrypt your whole hard drive, and they demand that you guys give them money, usually in the form of cryptocurrency. Or they won't give it back, you give you access to your computer back or your data back, or they offer to sell it on the dark web. So this is always a really bad one. If your computer is locked up like this, it's really hard, if not possible, to get back into it. Social media hijack. People don't really think of things like Facebook, TikTok, Instagram as being accounts that need to be protected, but they are. Because when somebody gets a hold of your social media account, they start messaging all of your family and your friends and saying, hey, this is Tim, I need $200, can you send me $200? And they start getting all those accounts that they have, and they start messaging everybody. And it's very difficult to get a hold of anybody from Facebook or Google or anywhere, Instagram, TikTok. It's almost impossible to call like a customer service line and have them help you get back into your account. So not only is it a difficult problem, but then somebody has your account, they turn on two-factor authentication with their information, and it's almost impossible to like actually get back in, and they're gonna start hitting up all of your friends for money. Clickbait. Clickbait's a good way to get people to start getting on your computer. You see something like, see what your high school friends are doing, or see where this person is now, or see where this actor has gone, and it just, those clicks can actually turn into malicious software being installed on your computer, so you have to be really careful with that as well. SMS cell, like I mentioned, these hit harder when it's actually an account that you have. So if you get a text message from Bank of America that says, hey, you've got these fraudulent charges, click here to fix this, and you have a Bank of America account, it's very difficult not to tell which one's a real legitimate one or which one was actually coming from your bank. So the important key there is just to stop what you're doing and go call Bank of America directly. Don't click on the link, don't call the number they will possibly provide on the text message. So who is targeted, who is vulnerable? In 2021, victims lost $6.9 billion to internet-enabled crimes. That jumped up to $10.2 billion in 2022. So it's only going to grow in 2023, 2024. It's just going to be huge numbers. It's a multi-billion-dollar industry. What we're seeing here is that tech scams is a small portion of that, which is still, almost $750,000. Let's see. Personal data breaches are always a big one. We're going to talk about some of those. Confidence fraud scams are actually pretty big. It's one that I haven't really experienced, but a lot of people do. And business email compromise scams is a huge one. This is the one where the phishing attacks get most businesses. Investment scams and fraud, real estate related rental schemes are a big one as well. So in the last 5 years, you can see how exponentially the fraud has increased. The gray number is the total number of complaints, and the red number is the total dollar of value losses. So in 2018, they had 350,000 complaints, 2.7 billion. Now in 2022, we're at 800,000 complaints and 10.3 billion. So it's a huge industry. And most of these places over in India, China, Russia, all they'll do is just close up shop if they get the heat on them, and then they'll reopen down the street, 3 miles away, and be back up in business the next day. Victims by age group, the senior population is definitely the one that's most hit, 60 plus. Younger population is not hit very often, but then the second biggest group is the 30 to 39 group, and then of course you have the 40, 49, 50, 59. These are number of complaints versus losses. So crimes by type. Like I said before, phishing is the number one attack. This is where businesses get ransomware constantly because some employee doesn't think first and they just click on an email, or they get their email hacked. And now what's been the biggest thing recently is actually buying people's credentials, which isn't even on here yet, but they found out that rather than trying to actually infiltrate a company with finding out what the passwords were, it's just easier to pay some disgruntled employee $5 or $10,000 for their credentials and get on the computer that way. So that they're going to the zero trust. Whereas tech support is only a much smaller portion versus phishing scams. And ransomware and malware are actually very low on the list of number of events. So I'm going to talk about a few examples real quick. Local business here in Salina was deceptively scammed by getting a Cox account person on their phone. They said they had viruses on their computer. They let them on there and it infected all 5 of the computers. We had to go through there and get all of them cleaned up. But just a small attack, but the cost was probably $1,500. They didn't give them any money, but they had access to the whole computer. This is a good example of having your social media hijacked. This was Train in Vain Tattoo. This was in 2023, October of last year, so not very long ago. The owner of Train in Vain Tattoo had somebody that was offering to be a sponsor of his. So he said, okay, well, you need to put this link on your Facebook page. He did that. That allowed him access to his Facebook account. Then they locked him out of his account, and they started messaging all of his customers that said, hey, I'm free tomorrow. If anybody wants to come get a tattoo, I can hold your spot for you for $200 or $400. And then they would send him the money, and he would, of course, not be there. They'd go in there, and the customers were very upset. So that's one example of getting your social media hijacked. Social media accounts are actually very important to have your multi-factor authentication turned on. Example 3 was in May of 2019. This was the first $11,000 customer. We're going to talk about one more, but These had a pop-up on their computer came up and said, your computer had viruses. Please contact the phone number. They did. They got on their computer and started pulling up their information. They looked at their credit card history and said, hey, your Capital One card has $20,000 worth of pornography charges. I know that's not mentioned in here, but that's what they told them. You need to send us $11,000 or we're going to report it to the police and report it to this and all kinds of stuff. They ended up getting them $11,000, and then finally they're like, well, look, we don't have any more money we can send you. So that's where they started calling the police, and then they realized it was a scam. Interesting part about this one after the fact was that they spoofed his phone number. So he turned off his phone, actually turned off his service to his phone. The next day, his wife gets a phone call from his phone number that says, so she answers it. She's not thinking that, well, hey, this is my husband. She answers and says, hey, are you guys going to give us the rest of those gift cards? And it was the scammers again. So that's the kind of extent that they go through sometimes. This is a continuance of the last one. What they did was then they installed this software right here, which is designed for, at the time, was a good use. What it does is go on your computer. It looks for stuff that's sensitive. Social security numbers, birth dates, addresses, credit card information. It scours your computer for those information, and it puts them into an encrypted vault. But if you're a scammer, and you have all that information taken from there and put into their own vault, now they have all your information, and you don't have that information anymore. So that's what they did to this couple, was they stole all their information with this program right here. Advanced Identity Protector, which is designed for good things, but used for bad. A local resident of Salina, who was 74, was scammed out of $19,000 between August 2nd and August 16th after attempting to purchase a Winnebago RV off of eBay. They said, okay, well, you want this RV, you got to wire us some money. And he did. And then they said, okay, we got to wire some more money. He did again. But they eventually took him for $19,000 before they realized that it was a scam. So you have to be really careful on eBay, Facebook, Craigslist, places like that as well. A Salina man this is in June of 2014. A Salina man was nearly bilked out of $2,000 on a Craigslist scam, very similar to the last one. He was going to he was looking for work. And so the company said, hey, we'll hire you to drive my parents around, take them to their appointments, take them to their prescription med appointments, their doctor's appointments, take them to dinner. We'll send you $2,420. You keep the $420 and send us back the $2,000. He went and got two $1,000 wired certificates. He sent one of them, was about ready to send the second one before the people alerted him to say, hey, this is probably a scam. So he didn't send the second one, and the police were able to get the first one back. So he wasn't out any money, but he was very close to being out some money. This is the most recent one. This was just March 8th of this year. So another Salina man was scammed out of $11,000 after calling the number on an email he believed was from a computer virus protection company, which was Norton. Basically, this is a phishing scam. He got a message from Norton saying, hey, your subscription to Norton is going to renew for $480. He's like, well, I don't want that to renew. I'm not going to get this anymore. I'm not even using it. He called the customer service number that was on the email. They said, okay, well, we'll refund you $100. And so he said, okay, well, here's my bank information. They showed him a picture that looked like they accidentally deposited $10,000, and then told him that he had to go get that $10,000 back, or they're going to send him to the police. He sent $8,000 in Bitcoin, and then went and got $3,000 in gift certificates and sent that to them. Now, those are all legal charges. He'll never get that money back. It's just fraud. It's just gone. Anytime you do a gift card or crypto, there's no credit card company or bank that's going to help you out anymore. It's just gone money. You're just out. This is one that's just a few days ago. Some more examples of more larger scams. Independence, Missouri, the town itself was hit with a ransomware attack in 2020. They didn't really release what they did. I don't know if they paid some of the hush money, some of the ransom money or not. But the outcome was very close-knit. Like, you couldn't really get information on what happened. Truman Medical Center did pay some of the ransom. They didn't tell you how much they paid. This is in 2019. Mallory Clinic here in Salina, data breach in 2021. Patients were notified, but they didn't say how many. Salina Family Healthcare ransomware in 2017. Over 77,000 patients were notified of the breach. Great Plains, Kubota was ransomwared like 3 years ago. I couldn't find any information about that, but I know that it happened. AGCO, both in Kansas and worldwide, was ransomware in 2022. They were down on service for like over a month. Kansas' entire court system recently, this is in October of last year, was down for like 2 or 3 weeks because they got ransomwared, and the whole Kansas system was on this program. And what's funny about this is that in 2018 they had signed a cybersecurity agreement with a company out of Texas, and I don't know how they were not held accountable for what happened, but they were a 10-year agreement with that company. Potawatomi County in Kansas was ransomware in October of 2021. They paid $71,000 in ransom, which is a 10% reduction of what they were actually initially asked for, which is like $750,000. They ended up paying $71,000, which I don't recommend anybody pays a ransom. K-State University was ransomware just January of this year, and Salina Goodwill had a data breach in 2022. So just because you haven't gotten hit yet doesn't mean you're not going to. Just because you are a small business or a small residential person doesn't mean that you're not going to be scammed. It just means a matter of time. You're just playing the numbers where it's eventually going to happen to almost everybody. So the important thing of today's meeting is what can we do to protect ourselves? Well, number one is do not click links. It doesn't matter what the link is, just don't click it. I don't even trust emails from my wife. I'll call her and I'll be like, hey, did you send me this picture or this document or this phone? What do you want me to do here? And verify that it actually came from her rather than clicking on it first, just assuming that just because it's from a trusted source, that it's a legitimate email. Number two, keep your software updated. Doesn't matter if it's your phone, your tablet, your computer, keep your software up to date. And that leads me into a part of saying that Windows 10 is no longer going to be supported after 2025 in October. And if you're using anything prior to Windows 10, whether it be Windows 7, Windows 8, Windows Vista, Windows XP, none of those programs are supported anymore, which means if there's any vulnerabilities or software exploitations that are out there, you could be victim of a crime as well. Number three, do not call the numbers that they give you. Sometimes people get people on the phone and be like, hey, I'll let you talk to my supervisor, or call this number back and talk to my supervisor. Well, those numbers are just go back to other scammers, so don't call those numbers, just call the actual direct number. If you're trying to deal with Cox or Microsoft or McAfee, go on the web, search for that actual number, or even better yet, look at a previous bill that you have from Cox and find out what the actual number is, call that number. Number four, antivirus software and update definitions. So like I said, have a good antivirus program on your computer. Windows comes with Windows Defender, and it's a fairly robust antivirus. You guys can get a secondary one, but unfortunately nothing stops you from clicking something that should be an inappropriate link. So I've had computers come into our office with 3 or 4 different antivirus programs and still have viruses. Because you as a user, you can still click on that link. Nothing can prevent you from that. So have a good antivirus, but also keep aware of what you're clicking on. This is an important one, number 5. No company, no legitimate company, will ever call you and ask for any of your information, credit cards, crypto, gift cards, wire transfers. They'll never ask for any of that stuff. Number 6, if you get a pop-up telling you that you have viruses, shut the computer down and restart, run antivirus software. That's always a real quick thing. If you restart your computer and it goes away, then it's probably a scam. Number 7, shred, destroy all personal information, documents, credit cards, etc. So I'm not sure if anybody knows this, but once you guys put trash on the curb, it becomes public domain, and anybody can just drive along, pick up your trash, and take it and sort through it. So be sure that you guys have a shredder at home, and you're shredding your important information, dates, addresses, birth dates, account numbers, things like that. All that stuff should be shredded. Number 8, this is another huge one. Multi-factor authentication, two-factor authentication. This is an additional step beyond just your regular password to get into an account. So let's say you have your email account through Cox, you turn on multi-factor authentication, two-factor authentication. So in addition to putting your password, it's going to send you an email or a text or call you or some kind of other method to verify that you are who you are and you have the devices that you say that you're going to have. This is important to do for emails, email accounts if you have several, all your social media accounts, It's important to do for banks, credit cards, any important account, medical records, medical sites. All those are very important to have two-factor authentication turned on. So if you guys don't have an idea of how to do that, that's when you need to seek out professional help or maybe a trusted family member or friend that can help you out with that too. But it's really important that you guys turn those on. Number 9, strong passwords. To your right, you can see some of these passwords. There's 15 passwords, the most common passwords that people use. So things like password, QWERTY, 1234 through 8, password 123. All these are the most common passwords. The password needs to be at least 8 to 12 characters long, have an upper, lowercase, number, special character, and an uncommon like letters. I wouldn't even use any words. It's really important not to use words in general because it could just be cracked so fast. You can use anagrams, you can use abbreviations, but try to avoid having for a trusted local IT company or Dallas or Cowboys or local family friend, whoever you guys can use. And number 10, backup data to cloud and local. We recommend a 3-prong approach. So what that means is that you have your data on your computer or your phone or wherever. You have another local backup for important information, as well as a cloud backup. So that way, if a tornado comes through and gets your house and your computer and your local backup, you still have your important data on the cloud somewhere. So it's really important to have several sources for vital information. We're talking like the last place your pictures for your grandfather were before he passed away, your first child, your marriage, whatever you guys want to do, what you feel is important, have that information sourced in several different places. So what do you do once you're infected? Shut down your computer, call IT, turn off your Wi-Fi, change passwords, alert credit cards, banks, etc. So you're hacked. At that point, you should probably just consider yourself a victim of identity theft and go through all the things you would go through if you had your wallet stolen. Change your credit cards, call your credit card companies, change your bank account information, close your bank account, whatever you have to do, but just pretend like you're a victim of identity theft at that point. Ensure your Wi-Fi router is protected with at least WPA2 protection. So on your home Wi-Fi system, if you have it just open, then people can just get on there and start keeping track of everything that you do on your network. So always have your security turned on and have a good password for that as well. Log in directly to a company's website rather than clicking a link in an email or a website. So like, again, if you get an email from Cox saying you have a late past due notice, call Cox directly or email Cox directly, not the stuff that they give you. Do not call back the number they give you. Hang up and call a verified number. That's important as well. Number 6, do not get any gift cards, crypto, or wire any money. As I mentioned, no legitimate company is going to ask you for crypto or gift cards or wiring money. So that's a really huge key right there. Do not give your credit card or personal information to anybody. It's always important. Number 8, do not be afraid to contact the police, the FBI, FTC, even if you didn't lose any money or caught on to the scam early. You should still make a report. There, you can go to the ic3.gov site and file an FBI report. The numbers that you guys saw earlier, where that's $10.3 billion last year, in 2022, 2 years ago, that's probably a third of what is actually happens that they don't actually ever report. So a city or an individual might not actually even report they were a victim of a ransomware or a cybersecurity scam. A lot of elderly people are nervous or scared. They don't want their nieces, nephews, daughters, sons to know that they were scammed, so they don't report it. And number 9, contact your preferred trusted local IT company or local family friend, whoever you guys can use to get some support. So that's the things you guys can do to get protected. Does anybody have any questions?
Do you have a Facebook?
We do.
It's been hacked,
Oh, yeah, go ahead.
and you try to delete. Can you actually delete? Does it delete if you do a Facebook? And if it is deleted out, if that's the terminology, can somebody hack through it and reopen
So if you lose control of your Facebook account,
Yes.
you can't close it. You can only just report to Facebook that it's not your profile anymore. Like if you can't get back into it, you can't reset your password, all you can do is report it that somebody hacked it.
it? Okay.
If you can get back into your account through changing your password or getting back onto your account, then yes, you can delete your whole account. And nobody should be able to get back on there.
If you turn your computer off, can you get hacked?
No, unless it has some kind of BIOS setting to where you can actually go through the network and turn it back on while you're off. But if you have it unplugged from the network or turned off for Wi-Fi, then you should be fine. Nothing should be on there, or at least able to if there is something on there, it should be able to communicate back and forth to the bot or the person that actually created it. So powering off isn't as important as getting it off of your Wi-Fi or getting it off the network.
So is powering it off the same? Powering off is not the same as unplugging or turning your Wi-Fi off, though, is it?
They're two different things, but both of them should work. If you turn off your Wi-Fi or take out the Ethernet cord, I'm not sure how it's connected to the internet, sometimes it's both, then nothing can at least be transmitted through the network or further damage can be done.
If you just power it off?
If you power it off, it's the same thing, nothing can be transmitted
Okay.
without it being on.
So I know you're talking about PC, but what about like your phones? Like, because I know a lot of people get online with their phones. So I know I check my email and stuff through my phone. How accessible is it to hack your phone and get information from your phone as opposed to a PC?
So phones usually use Android or Apple. They're less likely to have some kind of program be installed on them, but it's not impossible, it's just less likely. So you can get that, you can get antivirus for your phones as well and have it checked regularly. A Vira is always a good one that's free. You can just download a Vira. We always download a Vira, do a quick scan, and then uninstall it because we don't like leaving it on there. But yeah, phones can be hacked. It's just less frequently because it's using a different operating system. Right now, Windows has still got the majority of the market of PCs. So Windows has probably about 70% of the market. So scammers are going to go after that big majority rather than going after Macs or going after Android. But as phones increase and as Macs increase, Android increases, people will start targeting those more often as well. So the important thing for your phone is, though, don't click on text messages, don't click on links, things like that. What other questions do you guys have?
I've got one more.
Sure.
A computer can be reset to its normal settings. A phone, once it gets hacked, can it also be reset to its normal?
Yeah, but you'll lose a lot of your data. You can always do a factory reset on your phone as well, but it's going to completely wipe it. So no contacts, no pictures, no photos, nothing. It's just going to be gone. And that might be the best course of action, right?
Yeah.
But it's definitely just going to revert it back to like out of the box settings when you first got it. Any other questions? Well, thank you guys for my time today. Hope you guys enjoyed the speech and hopefully it was a little bit beneficial for you guys. An important thing to remember that it seems like very common sense that we don't do this, but maybe you just need to make sure your aunt knows or your second cousin knows that that they're aware of all the situations can happen too. So make sure you guys spread this information out to them as well. Thank you guys for your time.